right, all guests on ZASLOW Show 2.0 brought to us by the official beer of the program, Johnny Cuba. We're doing a Johnny Cuba tailgate again for Dolphins Raiders this Sunday at Hard Rock Stadium, so come on by. We're going to have food. We're going to have Johnny Cuba. You're going to have me. We're going to hang out. Dolphins are going to take that ass against the Raiders this weekend. But of course, if you don't have Johnny Cuba on your fridge right now, go to your local Sedano's, Presidente, Winn-Dixie. You pick up a six-pack European roots with that Caribbean soul, a refreshing German lager. Always drink responsibly. And of course, don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. Love being joined by Trysta Krick, Odyssey Sports, BetQL, BetMGM, every single night. You got the Heat Check with Trysta Krick, which is one of my favorite podcasts. And she's coming fresh off of her first battle with Heat Twitter this past offseason. Have you recovered from being public enemy number one of Heat Twitter?
You know, my favorite thing about that is I got like maybe 3 weeks ago an email from the sales team and they were like, hey, so Odyssey is the official radio station of the Miami Heat. So what we're going to have you do is do a promo in the Heat games and out of Heat games promoting the Heat.
Not the best idea.
And I was like, so I recorded it. And as I'm recording it, I'm like, this is amazing. There are going to be so many Heat fans punching air when it's like, hey, listen to the Heat Check with me, Heat public enemy number one. I didn't say that, but that's what I was thinking. Trysta Krick. So, yeah.
Listen to Heat Check with me, that broad that you hated this offseason.
The one that absolutely eviscerated Pat Riley and Tyler Hero. The good news is that your team has recovered now that Tyler Hero's been injured.
Well, see, I hate that, because it's such an obvious place you can go. I mean, look, it's hard to push back on that because based on the evidence that we have in front of us and the evidence we had in front of us in the postseason, it is what it is. But yes, they are playing. They're playing really well right now. They've won 6 in a row. And the cool part is you got pieces there, specifically Jaime Jaquez, who, man, it feels like they really hit on him.
The Heat, I was making a list right before I came on about the best drafting teams and the worst drafting teams. And the Heat, even when you think they're down and out, just consistently draft well. Find guys of value. I think there were a lot of Heat fans that wanted maybe Miami to take Cam Whitmore, a guy who Villanova guys usually translate really well to the NBA. A guy that could, get you some buckets, has a bunch of dynamic athleticism. But Jaime is what you need, man. He's a full product. He was at UCLA for like 11 years. So he's somebody who can contribute right away. And he is. He looks really good playing him in the post position. So I like that too. He's got a nice back to the basket game. He kind of feels like a vintage old school guy, but he can also stretch the floor and hit threes too.
4 straight games now, all of which they've won. The rookie has played all 12 minutes in the fourth quarter. And this is a team that's trying to win a championship. So it shows you they really trust him.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I really do. As it relates to the Tyler Hero thing, is Tyler Hero a winning player to you? Because I saw him go up against, it was Milwaukee, and I knew Tyler was going to score 30. I just knew it, bet it, played it, and he did. And yet, it was in a losing effort.
Yeah, I mean, that was the third game of the year. And I think coming into the season, Tyler's got this chip on his shoulder from everything that went down. And he certainly came out firing at the start of the season. But I think there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, what I just mentioned about Tyler. Also, Jimmy didn't play preseason. And Jimmy now, he had 32 last night. Now you're starting to see Jimmy is rounding into form. And maybe we also didn't know that Bam has clearly taken it to another level. So Tyler's Tyler. He can score. He has no problem going out there, taking 20 shots and trying to score 30 points. But I think now that things are rolling along a little bit, you can see, okay, this is what works. This is what we're good at right now. And I don't think you're necessarily going to get that same version of Tyler when he comes back, because I don't think they need a guy who's chucking up 22, 23 shots every single night in Tyler. So I think they're going to be fine.
You know who's been impressive too in Tyler's absence, just the same as he was in the postseason, is Duncan Robinson.
He's been great.
Yeah, I don't know what you want to do with that. I mean, if he's like a movable trade piece now that he has a larger sample size of doing well, or you just want him in case somebody gets injured. But I mean, he absolutely cooked Victor Wembanyama, shook him to the ground.
He did. He was using that Steve Smith hezzy around the corner, got right past him.
He said, "Nope, I'm going this way."
He's been great. The latest trade rumor now is Zach Levine. So, do you think Zach Levine would be a fit for the Heat? Because I got to tell you, I'm not giving up Tyler Hero in a trade for Zach Levine because I think that's a lateral move, especially when you consider, all right, Tyler makes around 27 a year. Zach Levine makes around 42 a year. And for, somewhat of a lateral move, I'm not trying to spend that much more money.
Yeah, I agree. And what we know is it feels like the Heat organization doesn't want to go, deep into the luxury tax for a player like that. I like the idea a lot more, of Alex Caruso. I think Alex Caruso is absolutely a Heat caliber player, right? Like, he's the kind of guy who makes life hell on earth for the other team's best scorer. You saw it against Kevin Durant. His basketball IQ is through the roof. He can shoot threes now too, and you need shooting. So I don't think you need like another certified chucker, bucket getter. And I don't know if I love Zach Levine's decision making.
Yep.
And I don't think Zach Levine is a Heat player. Defensively, not great. Like, I think he's got like 114 defensive rating, something like that. He's never been great at that. Like, a lot of those pure sweat guys that train with Drew Hanlon, a lot of them don't play defense, especially the ones that are like the guard and the wing position. So I would not like that for you guys.
Are you into the in-season tournament? Because when it started a couple weeks ago, I was like, I'm a game time decision here. I don't know how I'm going to feel. I got to feel out the game, and then I'm going to decide, okay, if I'm more interested in this than a regular season game. And I got to tell you, I think I'm into it.
I kind of feel like it is too. I feel like they knew we were dumb, right? They're like, okay, these people are dumb. They're not going to know if it's Tuesday, Friday, whatever. We're going to make it super easy. We're going to change the court, although the court thing has to get sorted. Luka said last night there were dead spots on the New Orleans court. One court, I believe it was Dallas's. Funnily enough, the opposing team was practicing on that court, on the in-season tournament court, and the three-point line was further away than normal.
That's right.
And so there's been some issues. So we got to get that sorted. But I like that they're like, okay, these fans are dumb. And maybe the players also not paying attention, whether it's an in-season or not, regular season game. We're going to change the court. Home team gets the city jerseys. And the thing I find to be interesting is that the point differential matters in terms of, your standings. So teams are just playing so hard. Starters are not coming off the floor. You had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, blowing out San Antonio, still playing really hard into the early parts of the fourth quarter, middle part of the fourth quarter. He had 6 steals last night. So I think they care. We saw 2 scuffles, like real deal, the Draymond Green DDT, choke out on Rudy Gobert, the Clay choke out on McDaniels. Yep, you had the scuffle in the Laker game as well. I mean, there's just a lot happening.
Well, look, once they tipped off in San Francisco last night, I mean, it's the in-season tournament. I mean, tensions are very high. Everyone's the juices are flowing, all right? And so let's talk a little bit about what happened with Draymond last night. So I think it's 2 straight games now he's been thrown out, right? Where you had the incident with Donovan Mitchell, and then last night. I understand putting Rudy Gobert in a headlock because I think every player would love the opportunity. Oh, now's my chance to put Rudy Gobert in a headlock. But that was it was crazy person behavior. He was holding on to him. He's yelling at him too. So it's like there's a personal thing going on in that moment. And I gotta tell you, Trysta, I understand sticking up for your guys. I thought Steve couldn't embarrass himself last night with that post-game press conference talking about Rudy Gobert went in there and he was grabbing Clay around his neck. Steve, we all have the video. That's not what happened.
And like, Steve, this is why people don't like our dubs, right? Like, this is why fans from around the NBA revel in your failures, because it feels like there's an entitlement and there's always like an excuse made for terrible actions. Like, Draymond could have hit Rudy Gobert with a bus. And it's like, well, Rudy Gobert was on the sidewalk. You know, where else was Draymond supposed to drive? So it's annoying to me. Did you see what Rudy Gobert said after the game?
Yeah, I think he's right.
Yeah, where he's like, yeah, Draymond, basically he did call him a backpack for 30. He said when he's not in the game, Draymond has no interest in playing basketball.
Yep. Yeah. And it took him 2 minutes to decide I don't want to be here tonight.
Steph Curry was in his pajamas and Draymond said, let me get mine.
What do you guess is the suspension? I mean, he's going to be suspended. What do you guess it is?
5 games? 3 games?
I was thinking 5, but they're not going to give him 5. I think it's going to be 3. I know it is.
5 feels like too many. My co-host thought it would be 8. That just feels absurd.
No chance.
This isn't Malice in the Palace here, okay? We need to get things. And like these scuffles, not to say you want to choke anyone out, it just didn't feel 5-game serious. You know what I mean? Like, in our soul, it felt like really 1-game serious, but maybe Adam Silver will want to make an example. If it was anyone else, it's 1 game.
Right. What did you make of Adam Silver's commentary a few days ago? He was on the Old Man in the 3 with JJ Redick. I talked about this on my show. I talked about it a little bit on ESPN radio a few nights ago. What did you make of Adam Silver and his thoughts about the commentary surrounding the league?
I think he's right. I talk about it all the time. The discourse is trash. I don't know how you fix it, though, because it's twofold. So people like TV networks like ESPN, FS1, whatever. There's this like national TV NBA, and it's happening in the mix of NFL coverage. It's in the middle of all this other like top line news stuff. So you can't really talk about certain teams without the ratings just legitimately going down.
Right.
There's just certain teams, certain players that the general casual fan base. I remember I went to a Mets game 2 years ago. It was the combined shutout. And I was sitting next to this NBA fan in New York, and he did not know who Ant Edwards was. And that's the NBA fans, like real NBA fans would say that's insane. And he probably knows who he is now. But 2 years ago, he didn't know who Ant Edwards was because he was on the Minnesota Timberwolves. So to that effect, I get it. But we have to do, I think I do a pretty damn good job of it. But the collective has to do a good job of making things that are not mainstream interesting. They have to find a way to present the information in a funny, informative way. And the truth is, nobody really does that very well. And Stephen A has become too overwhelmed with all of his responsibilities to be shouldering that burden as well. College football, NFL, college basketball, NBA. You can't expect him to ride for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Right. He's focused on what the Lakers are doing, what the Celtics are doing, and that's what we got to talk about.
Yep, exactly. And like any top line news.
Yeah.
So, and let's be real, the producers are in charge of that as well. And the creativity could be better. In my opinion, the solution is a real commitment and resource dedication to an NBA network. And you have NBA TV, but you don't invest in it like NFL Network does. And if you had like an NBA Good Morning and clips were social and clippable, and you had a fun cast like Good Morning Football does, like how they brought in Kay Adams and Kyle Brandt and Peter Schrager. So you've got an insider like a Shams, maybe not Shams because I don't think he's like fun enough, but you'd have to have someone, maybe like even a Jake Fisher, someone that's like kind of cool. and then someone young and fresh to be a host, and then maybe another person that's a former athlete or something, Channing Frye, somebody. And then have what they're trying to do with FanDuel TV, with Run It Back, and just do better. Be better, and the league has to be a better partner and delivering those stories too.
I think you're right about that. Are you worried about Damian Lillard and the Bucks? He has not been good.
Heat fans and Portland Trailblazer fans align for a small moment in time to revel in the fact that this might not be the panacea that everybody thought it could be. I believe this. Dame is incredible. Dame will figure it out. Dame is obviously going through a lot right now. Like personally, professionally, there's a lot of things in flux in Dame's life. There's like a custody hearing happening. There's a divorce proceeding. And then he's moving all of his family to Milwaukee. Not a great place to live. All that we know is true. And so I think he'll figure that his own production part out. The thing that I was concerned about and still am concerned about is twofold. One, Giannis not getting the ball further enough away from the basket so that he can get downhill. Like Dame might have to be like an off-ball guy, except for in like clutch time situations. You might need Giannis to bring the ball down the floor, like Jokic, or Giannis with a head of steam is unstoppable at half court. But as soon as he gets to like the elbow, the 3-point line, he just can't operate in space. You can collapse on him, causes turnovers. He's just way less effective. Secondly, Adrian Griffin, I just don't think having a brand new head coach
It's tough.
is a great recipe at this moment for incorporating a totally different system of offense. And defensively, they've gotten better because the players have essentially staged a coup. And so we got to go back to what we were doing last year. We got to have Brook and drop coverage. We can't have this little janky way of doing things where we're allowing guys to just have the most amount of shots at the rim unprotected. So that's sort of fixed-ish. But the offense to me is the main question mark. And that pick and roll does not seem nearly as deadly as everybody claimed that it would be.
Do you revel in the fact that the Clippers with Harden are now 0-5? Because I think it's hysterical.
Yeah, I just didn't see why they wanted to do it.
I don't think it moves the needle. I think they're the same championship contender with or without him.
Yeah, and maybe he'll figure it out in 10 games. Who knows? Maybe he'll average 20 and 10 again. But the problem is that it isolates Russ, and Russ is now rudderless. He has no idea what his role is. I don't know what Russ's role is. I don't think Ty Lue knows what Russ's role is. They can't be on the court at the same time. I was watching last night, and they were running the offense through Russ, and then James Harden standing in the corner. And I'm like, yeah, that's how this goes when these two guys, the one that doesn't have the ball is just standing there.
Mm-hmm. Is there a funnier clip in the league this year than Harden wiping the soles of his shoes and then throwing up an air ball?
It's tremendous. I love it. I mean, he gives us so much. We can't kick him out of the league just yet because he gives us so much to sink our teeth into from a social media perspective. From as someone who appreciates the comedy of the league, Harden is top tier comedy. That's got to be on the list of like the gold medal for funniest clips so far in the 2023-2024 season.
And finally here, give me some thoughts on Wembanyama. I had a hot take the other day on Wembanyama because the Heat played the Spurs. The Heat won. And, like we already mentioned, Duncan Robinson cooked him. And Wembanyama, it's so easy for him to dunk, when either if he catches it at the basket or if he has any kind of head of steam, he's going to be able to throw it down. I don't think dunking is fun for him because when you're another player, when you dunk, you're jumping up high and then you're reaching to throw it down, and it's like an exciting looking play and it's like an accomplishment. And Wembanyama, he just kind of puts it in because he's so close. Yeah, like I don't think dunking for him is that much fun.
That's a great point. He is shooting a lot of threes. We know that Victor Wembanyama has the propensity to want to be a perimeter player, just like Chet. So yeah, I think that's a good take. My take on Victor is he's transcendent. I think what's hilarious is one of the folks on Dan Lebitard's show has just been slandering
Yeah.
Victor, it kind of like endlessly. It's
Mike
gonna,
Ryan thinks he's bad for basketball.
yeah. I think that is a take that will come back and haunt him in like 5 years from now. He'll be putting his face in his hands over it. Victor Wembanyama is special, man. He's gonna be everything that everybody said he was. I don't know if you saw the clip that I posted where it's him and Chet in a tip, and their arms look like they're just two-thirds of their body.
It's so strange looking.
Yeah, they're aliens walking on Earth.
Like he was standing next to Jimmy Butler the other day, and it's it's weird looking. You belong in this game. You're too big.
It looks like he's been stretched out. I said this about Paolo. He looks like a version of a human I had never seen because he's compact and all of his proportions are like somebody who's 6'2", but he's actually 6'10". That's like Victor Wembanyama is the opposite. He looks like he should have been 6'5", and then someone pulled his arms and someone pulled his legs like Stretch Armstrong, and they said, "Okay, there you go."
What are we doing for fun these days when we're not watching basketball? Are you into any movies, any TV shows? What are you watching?
Yeah. I've been watching so much TV recently. The show that I love is Goliath. We talked about The Americans.
What a show.
You have to watch Goliath.
Yeah?
I think Goliath might be one of the best shows, if not the best TV in the last 5 years.
Wow. Okay.
So here's the premise for the folks on the show. So it's Billy Bob Thornton. Billy Bob Thornton is a washed up corporate attorney who's an alcoholic, and he's no longer practicing law. He was a named partner at this huge corporate law firm, one of the founding partners. His ex-wife is still there. He's living in LA in a motel, a very famous motel in Santa Monica. And he gets approached to represent the family of a man who died on the water working for a defense contractor. Something bad happened on the boat and they're claiming it's a suicide. Something smells fishy, and the company that's representing the defense contractor is his former company. So he gets to go mano a mano, and it is the acting, and there's 4 seasons. All of them are different premise, different location, different versions of Billy Bob Thornton.
This sounds like something I can watch with my wife.
Yes, it's an Amazon show. It's amazing.
Okay.
Amazing.
We love lawyer shows, so it sounds like something I could watch with my wife.
Yes. First season is courtroom. Second season is like the Lincoln Lawyer?
We love Lincoln Lawyer.
So the Lincoln Lawyer in season 2 is the big bad mafia guy. Mm-hmm. He is the evil genius in season, and he might be better as a villain than he is as a hero. So that's that, and that's like all about like LA politics and kind of like how the mob's involved. Season 3 takes place at a casino in Central California over water rights and almonds, and it gets real spicy. Billy Bob Thornton basically lives at the casino in like Central California. Season 4 takes place in San Francisco, and it's got like a red lens over the entire show, and it's filmed in homage of Alfred Hitchcock.
And you've seen all 4 seasons?
All 4, baby.
All right.
And I think they get progressively better.
All right. I think that sounds like something that me and my wife can watch together. We're always looking for recommendations.
I'm gonna need a review from you.
Okay. We're gonna watch that, I think. We don't have a show right now. All right. I think that'll be what we do. Trysta, tell everybody how they can hear you each night, and of course the Heat Check.
So 5 nights a week, 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come sweat out bets with us. We talk NBA, we talk NFL, college basketball, college football. We give out bets. We talk about why, but more so it's like a little pop culture, a little live betting, fun stuff. That's 4 hours a night. And then the Heat Check actually on 5 days a week now. So 5 days a week, 3 days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday of full episodes. Tuesday, Thursday, we talk a little bit, something small. Tuesdays, rookies. Thursday, we'll have a little debate on. Maybe you'll come on as my next guest. Who knows?
Okay.
And that's anywhere you get your podcast, the Heat Check podcast with Trysta Krick. Please rate, subscribe, download, tell your friends, even your toxic ex-girlfriend or boyfriend.
Great job, Trysta. Always love having you on. You're one of my favorites. Thank you.
Vice versa, man. Talk to you soon.